The significance of the picture that you're looking at right now, if you recognize him that is obviously Benjamin Franklin. He's looking out the window. It probably looks like it's just gotten done raining, and the significance of this gentleman in relation to rain and lightning, we all know that story. He's the one that flew the kite with the key and really did a lot of the early stage development of how to harness electricity and how to use it to make society better. This is an older image of him, more as a statesman. He obviously had a long history of parliamentary and did a number of things that were also great improvements for the country as well. A lot of contributions there. And to honor him, they eventually came out with this, putting his image on a $100 bill. So all of that said and done, what is the significance of showing these three images of Benjamin Franklin to you? Well, the significance is underneath this bentwood cover is a commemorative machine that was built by the Domestic Sewing Machine Company in his honor back in 1921. Prior to that 1921 date, the Domestic Sewing Machine Company received an award at the National Export Exposition in 1899 and was awarded this special honor by the Franklin Institute of Philadelphia. Now, the Franklin Institute of Philadelphia was a very, very reputable institution for science education back in that day. And to receive that honor was significant. And it was just about 20 to 21 years later that they ended up building this specific model in his honor. Let me go and take the cover off so you can get your first glimpse of this machine. The other thing I want to highlight is this machine, this Franklin rotary, was made by the Domestic Sewing Machine Company. Now, why do I highlight that point? It's because sometime later, the Sears and Roebuck Company made a number of different Franklin sewing machine models. And I don't want to mix those two together. I don't want you to be confused and to think that they're the same machine. They're not. Domestic Sewing Machine Company, in my opinion, made just rock solid machines. And this machine really, from an engineering standpoint, from a design standpoint, stands arms and lengths above the models that were made later that are very similar to it. So I just want to highlight that point before we go any further. Okay, let's do this. So let's start on the right hand side of this machine. I'm going to show you a couple of things over in this area. Number one, this is a screw adjustment that allows you to bring this bobbin winding tire up to the hand wheel. By simply screwing it in, as the camera hopefully can capture, this slowly comes up and makes contact with that hand wheel. Now, on most machines, to disengage the clutch so that you can wind a bobbin, you're going to have to usually turn a knob or a control that's going to disengage that clutch. On this one, there's a simple clip that you push like so, and with that simple step, this hand wheel is no longer engaged to that drive shaft to make that needle move. Let me go and step on the pedals so you can at least hear this machine run a little bit. I'm not going to throttle it all the way up because it has an original 0.95 amp motor on it, and let me tell you something, unbelievably powerful. Okay, I'm going to go and step on this a little bit. I also love this oversized spoke wheel. Isn't that nice? I love the oversized spoke wheel as far as controlling if you're having to make some tight corners, and just for overall quilting purposes, it's a wonderful, wonderful addition on this commemorative Benjamin Franklin machine made by Domestic. All right, let me go ahead and unscrew this, and you'll notice that that bobbin winding tire is rolling back down again, so it's not making contact with the hand wheel. Before I show you the stitch length, let's drop down right here, and I want to show you a neat little cubby area for storing machine attachments and other goodies. If I slide this out, it's actually tongue and groove, and as I slide it out, you can see, if the camera can get a shot, we've got needles, we've got extra bobbins, we've got extra drive pulleys in there for the motor as well, machine attachments, vintage screwdrivers, just all kinds of goodies that are tucked away in there. And there is still a ton of space left to put additional things in there. So, you know, depending on your use for this machine, if you're wanting to take it to a quilting class or a sewing class, You can fit just a ton of extra things in there, even spools of thread. And with that bentwood cover and that carrying handle, you can transport this machine very easily and show it off to people at quilting classes and sewing classes. Okay, back over to the stitch length control. This machine has a huge stitch length variation, anything from 6 stitches per inch all the way down to 30 stitches per inch. Let me show you a sample of that right now. This particular applique was sewn on this machine with a metallic thread, and I think it illustrates a couple of things. Number one, the creative output with a machine of this caliber. And you can also see, as far as a foot control and the turnability of this machine, look at these concentric type circles and turns that were executed with this machine, and not with a lot of labor but with a huge amount of ease. These turns were made. So as you look around this applique, you can see right away that the creative output possibilities for this using this Franklin machine are just unbelievable, and you're just as capable of doing this because of the quality and the caliber of this machine. But the final result is just a gorgeous representation of what a machine of this caliber is able to do from a creative standpoint. Also, as with all of our machines, we love to include an owner's manual. And this is obviously a reprint of the original Benjamin Franklin rotary sewing machine manual, but we did have it professionally bound so that it's a resource to you. It's going to guide you through the easiest ways to maximize this machine. It's also going to guide you through the simplest steps of maintaining this machine at the optimal level. Now, I personally service this machine inside and out, including the original motor on the back that has 0.95 amps. And I can tell you this machine is ready to go to work, but as it needs its basic routine maintenance, this owner's manual will guide you through the very simple steps of maintaining this amazing commemorative Benjamin Franklin machine in the optimal running condition that you'll receive it in as the winner. Okay, back to this machine again. We come across the top here from that stitch length control. Again, the stitch length on this machine is phenomenal, 6 stitches per inch all the way down to 30, as you could see probably on that applique. And this is obviously the spool pin that we would use for winding a bobbin. We'd come off the top here through this simple little weave of thread guide, and then just bring that thread right down to the bobbin, engage it as I showed you already, and wind that bobbin. Let me tell you one thing, because of the power of that motor and just the efficiency of this mechanism, I was able to wind a bobbin, and I'm not exaggerating, in about 30 seconds without even giving that pedal a full push down. It's just amazing. So that allows you that much more uptime as far as your projects. Okay, moving from this spool pin over to the main spool pin to feed that thread for sewing, I'm going to rotate the faceplate a little bit towards the camera so that you can see the threading of this machine even more. And you can see right here, we come basically off of this spool pin across the top through this single thread guide, down across the bottom of the faceplate, which this is actually the tension control area. And there's just a couple simple little turns, and again, there's a very detailed picture of this in the owner's manual as well. If you change it out and you're a little bit intimidated, it's so simple to thread this with the assistance of that manual that we'll be including. And then after that, you're going to come up through the arm and then all the way down to the presser foot. Now let me tell you one thing, and I'm going to bring that needle up just a little bit. You can see my finger is almost completely underneath that presser foot, but that's not as good as it gets. By engaging that hyperextension, watch how much clearance we gain. I mean, that is ridiculously huge as far as the clearance. So you can imagine if you're trying to fit multiple layers of quilt batting, if you're trying to fit some very heavy grade materials underneath there, it's an absolute breeze with the clearance underneath that presser foot and the added hyperextension as well. You know what? This is a fitting machine, in my opinion, to bring honor to a great man like Benjamin Franklin. The only one that I'm aware of right now made by the domestic sewing machine company that is on eBay. Again, be careful if you see other models that specifically were made later on by the Sears and Roebuck company. They're not the same. I wish you the best in bidding on this great machine, and make sure you check out the other videos as well where we highlight the incredible power of this Benjamin Franklin commemorative machine.